Hello and welcome back to TF1C, the Formula 1 chat. We are here for our F1 Austrian GP preview. And what a racing weekend it was indeed. We had a sprint race weekend, or we're used to here in Formula 1. So more accustomed to in Formula 2 and Formula 3. Speaking of which, our previews for both of those series are out already. Go check them out. They were posted this morning. So if you're into the feed series, go check that out. But we're here now for the main event, Formula 1. Qualifying on the Friday night. Very interesting session. Out in Q1.
I mean, Aston Martin.
Shit show, yeah.
Double Aston Martin knockout again. 3 races in a row now. That's just not going well for them. Well, in quali anyway. It's not going well for them in quali.
No pace for Latifi. Zhou, obviously, after that massive
as I predicted.
As you predicted.
And
Ricciardo, as I predicted, had a stinker. He was 16th.
My redemption weekend for Daniel Ricciardo. My prediction, if you haven't seen the predictions, I predicted Daniel Ricciardo to have a good recovery weekend, and he did.
He got 2 points, but yes.
That's a good weekend.
Okay, it's a good weekend.
Into Q2 then. Lando Norris had problems under braking. He ended up 15th.
Yeah. We had both of the AlphaTauris out.
No, only Tsunoda, as I predicted. He wasn't going to do very well.
Gasly's P10 because they were both out, but then the Perez.
So his last lap in Q2
deletion.
was exceeding track limits. They waited until after quali to cancel his
Review
lap.
it, yeah.
All of his Q3 laps were deleted as well. Dropped into P13 with the sprint. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. How they missed that at the time, then let Checo do Q3 and then go, actually, not going to let you have that, and delete all his times.
Yeah, I mean, it would be unfair to the other drivers though if they just went, we've made a mistake, sorry.
I get that it's exceeding track limits.
Maybe just give him P10.
But they shouldn't let him go into Q3. They should have picked that up way earlier. Yeah. Because then he could have gone for another lap and tried again.
Yes, indeed. But we move.
Yeah. We saw Bottas, it's alright quali for him. He'll be happy because recently it has been pretty poor in quali for him.
And then Albon. Right on the fringes. P12, obviously then elevated to P11.
Yes. Just missing out on
strong performance from him there.
And then top 10 really. We'll start from the bottom. Gasly, as you said, got pushed up there by Perez's deletion laps.
Yeah.
Hamilton P9, not a great quali for him. Oh, hang on, no, he crashed, didn't he? Lewis Hamilton.
Yes, so Lewis and Russell, both the Mercedes, crashing out. Lewis's was a lot more violent than Russell's. Russell's was quite slow.
Didn't have the grip, lost the car.
Of course, we condemn the booing from the sections of the Max Verstappen support. I mean, Lewis fancied it, Max fancied it. Everyone's childish, but yeah.
It's getting stupid now.
They're not even a championship fight anymore. No. It's silly from both sets of fan bases.
Even if they were, you shouldn't boo.
Yeah.
P8 was Fernando Alonso. Yeah, that's just a bit of a decent quality for him. Haas 6-7. Yeah. These Haases are double points finish in Silverstone, and suddenly they've got rocket ships, and they haven't even had their big upgrades coming yet. So I think they're on the car for France, aren't they?
Yes, so we could see Haas's few upgrades. But then Haas's are usually very strong here.
Yeah,
so
he's got it right. And Mick Schumacher looks really quick.
Mick looks really racy this weekend. We'll get onto that in this
so
race in the sprint.
P6, 7 for him. Ocon P5, great lap from him in the end.
Yeah, Russell P4. I was really annoyed that none of the other guys managed to go faster than him considering he put it in a wall. But
yeah, he also crashed out. So both Mercs crashed, having crashes in Q3.
Sainz and Leclerc, I think that Ferrari's a lot quicker than the Red Bull this weekend, but over one lap, a bit of Dutch magic orange powder managed to make that Red Bull
2/10
a little bit faster. Yeah, I think the sprint should have added to it.
Very, very, very close.
It's a track he's very strong at, and I think the Ferrari car is a lot quicker right now.
As Leclerc said on the Friday and the Saturday, he knew they were quicker, and they knew they'd have a decent result in the race.
Into sprint, we'll start from the top of it because no one really cares about the bottom 12 anyway.
Apart from, the only thing I'll mention is Vettel, obviously, got beached by Albon, contacted him in the sprint.
Albon and Vettel had the most chaotic weekend together.
Yeah, and then Alonso didn't even start.
No, it was just a bit of a shame for Alonso. He was right on the cusp of the points, wasn't he?
And the only one who dropped down the order, Gasly dropped the 15th after being spun round.
Yes. So, Max Verstappen won it. I don't think he would have without Carlos Sainz trying to battle Leclerc and costing them both points. Russell was 4th, and Perez managed to recover to P5. Very strong performance from him.
Those two.
And 5 points for Russell, 4 points for Perez. Ocon 6th. He was in a land of his own because the Haas's were busy working together to hold off Lewis. So eventually Lewis managed to get past Mick, but he didn't quite get Magnussen, so it's Kevin Magnussen in P7. Lewis Hamilton P8. Mick Schumacher 9th.
His defence.
Yeah, he's maturing a lot in Formula 1, as demonstrated, obviously, in the actual race. We'll talk about the Haas's first as well. I think we'll just talk about teams here. A 6-8. Mick, 8 points now from that. And he's on to 12 for the season. Fantastic showing from Mick here in Britain. And he could potentially carry that momentum with upgrades as well into France. Could be a very strong weekend. McLaren's didn't look amazing.
I saw Arava point this out. Most people probably know who he is. But the midfield battle between Alpine, Haas and McLaren was fantastic to watch. It really was. But as you said, great. McLaren's qualified 15, 16, 11, 12 in the sprint.
You've got to think
good recovery. To
McLaren on the back foot though. I'd argue.
Yeah,
we've got France coming up, where Haas have got upgrades coming. Alpine home race for Ocon as well. To just add a little something.
I'll be honest, I think McLaren will just be happy to see Daniel Ricciardo back amongst the points.
Yeah,
especially for such a poor quality. Really good recovery from both McLaren to have their first double points finish in God knows when.
So all three of them double points finishes. It was
a 5-10 for Alpine.
5-10, 6-8, 7-9.
Weekend he had under the radar.
So consistent indeed. Teams that to discuss at the bottom. Williams, Latifi DNF.
He just gave up at some point.
Yeah, Albon P12 was in the points at one point, but Alonso coming through from the back, and Bottas racing him didn't help.
Perez.
I was going to go to Aston Martin next. We'll get on to Red Bull later. Aston's Stroll was in the points at one point, ran off in like P5 or something, but that was because he just didn't pit for hours.
No, he did.
And then he was nowhere near. And Vettel, just the most torrid weekend. The Aston looks horrific. He looks just pissed off every time he gets. He's getting up to like 13th, 12th position.
And Gasly,
just gets Gasly had a mare. On to AlphaTauris then. I think Helmut Marko will be lining up Gasly, Tsunoda, Perez. I mean, Perez wasn't really his fault, but Gasly, Tsunoda, Perez. It's a firing line, but poor home Grand Prix weekend for AlphaTauri.
As I predicted, by the way, again, I was right.
Cool.
You put Tsunoda P3.
Mate, I was taking a gamble that maybe they'd do something good for once, but no. Gasly just spent the whole weekend seeing how many penalty points he could rack up, and Tsunoda just had 0 pace. They were 15, 16. Alfa Romeo,
decent recovery from Bottas from the back of the grid.
Yeah, and Zhou as well. Both of them were quite low, and I think strong performances. A 14-11. I don't think they could be too aggrieved at this point. I think Zhou would have been 12th on a normal weekend. Obviously, still recovering from the injuries and stuff he picked up in Silverstone. And I do think that with the problem is now Haas, McLaren, Alpine very much fill the bottom of that grid, bottom of the top 10, and that's without Perez and Sainz in there. So Alfa Romeo points is going to be hard to come by now. They're not going to be a what's it called?
Midfield team.
No, I just meant a guarantee. The points aren't going to be a guarantee. Or easy to come by. On to Mercedes then. 3rd and 4th. They've done what Mercedes have done best this weekend.
Yeah.
They have sat there and enjoyed the... I mean, to be fair, Russell did just punt Perez off and then was so far ahead of Ocon on the 5-second penalty, it didn't really matter. But regardless, they did just kind of stick around, just avoided getting hit. I mean, avoided everyone, really. Russell had to pit with... to get rid of that 5-second penalty, and he was in no man's land, but he had some decent pace. Hamilton, I don't think I saw him in the feature. He got through some of the drivers. Well, it kind of is what it is, isn't it? He got past a few drivers early, and then just kind of chilled in P4, and then just waited. And then when Sainz had his issue, slotted into P3. P2 then, Red Bull.
Perez couldn't do anything about it, really.
No, but you just need to tame that aggression. There's a championship on the line here, and I think if he's up there, Max doesn't have quite as big a problem on his hands. Max finished 1.5 off Charles. I think if Perez is up there, they can split strategies when Max has to come in early, keep Perez out long, and use Perez. Instead, they just...
I think after track limits to get P5. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with him to go and move.
He knows from previous experience, though, that it's very hard to keep it around there. Last season, he spent the whole weekend trying to take Charles Leclerc into it.
Knocking each other off.
He tried to put Leclerc into as many gravel traps as possible. So I don't know why this year he didn't learn from that and just calm down.
I think the game plan.
That once, I know
Red Bull's game plan would have been get into P4 as soon as possible.
Yeah, but I just think measured aggression. Obviously, because it cost him massively this weekend. Because even if he doesn't get past the Ferraris, he's third, and that's another 15 points.
I think he'd have been alright without damage, but also he picked up big side pod damage. I think he'd have recovered to P4.
Yeah, that's quite strange because I've never really seen like an incident like that cause damage. Usually it's just a spin into the gravel or pushed off into the gravel, but that was quite the hefty contact, and the 5-second penalty didn't really change much. It does bear the question, because if Max and Leclerc are racing into there, Max can shove Leclerc off. Leclerc loses about 20 seconds. It's a 5-second penalty. So does it really? And Perez obviously had race-ending damage. But then what can you do? And I do think changes at the Red Bull Ring are needed to make the track more raceable. Maybe add a little bit of runoff there before the gravel. Obviously, drivers will then be running wide, but maybe you give a bit of leniency. If you're touched, it's not a penalty for the other driver because you're not losing as much time. But you don't get track limits if you've been hit. But if obviously then you open up another place where drivers can just run really wide, get track limits warnings up. But I do think more changes are needed to the Red Bull Ring to make it less all about the track limits, because that was all we talked about this weekend.
Yeah,
maybe lower, because that very directly up turn 3 potentially make that a little bit easier to navigate. It's a good corner, but
it's a bit hard to, because it's already built on a mountain. It's a bit hard to
flatten the fuck out of that mountain.
Yeah, you can't actually just flatten it.
Yeah, maybe take us through the MotoGP chicane and completely ruin that straight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe small track amendments here and there. It's a very good track, the Red Bull Ring, but the track limits violations this weekend were just a little bit over the top. It was all we talked about all weekend.
It's harder with these big cars now as well. Obviously, last year it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, but then equally F2 and F3 running off at every turn, so...
F1 directors, who knows? Ferrari then?
Yeah, okay. Ferrari, Sainz blows up, nothing they can do about that. Hard done by Carlos once again. I still think he would have been third, so he's lost out on 15 points there, but...
That's big for constructors. I think he got past Max.
Yeah, I guess at the time, Max was only close to Charles because the weird throttle issue happened, but... Yeah.
And once they both put on mediums under the virtual safety car, Max was actually on the pace a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really weird to see Max not win at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, no pace for Red Bull. It was just really strange. Red Bull just had nothing, and they didn't have strategy on their side this weekend because they only had one car in the fight. So. Yeah, I don't know.
No matter who the driver is,
I don't know what upgrades they've got coming through to France. It'll be interesting to see whether they or Ferrari bring more. But if they, straight line speed has been Red Bull's thing all season, but then Ferrari looked really good in the straight line this weekend. So
I think the big thing for Max is that he got the fastest that as well. So he obviously gained 1 in the sprint. So he only lost 5 to Charles this weekend.
It's a weekend where you'd expect Max to win the sprint and the feature, and then take. A massive.
Then equally, I look at
a good chunk of points.
I look at our next run of. I think France and Budapest. I would see Max do well. Obviously, we know Spa.
I was going to say Budapest is whoever ends up on pole.
Yeah, Spa and Monza will probably be Charles.
I don't know.
He won in Spa, he won in Monza.
Max looked so good at Spa last year. I think if we see any rain, it's a Max Verstappen victory.
Yeah, and then obviously Monza, very Ferrari. Zandvoort, Red Bull.
I thought that Austria would be Red Bull, and look what happened there. So I don't think you can judge it based off of much this year. It is completely random. It's who's got the fastest car that weekend. It's nothing to do with what the track looks like. It's who's built the fastest car.
It could be orange, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Zandvoort was mental last year.
Of course, yeah. I imagine it'll be mental this year. Because you imagine increased number of fans, because obviously COVID restrictions lessen now, so potentially even more mental. Looking at the championship then, there's now just 38 points between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. The gap is certainly closing. Perez 29 points behind Charles now. Very hard done by this weekend. He would have still been behind Charles anyway, I think, But another 12 points to that tally, he's only 7 off.
Yeah.
So a tough weekend for Perez. And of course, if Carlos still goes boom, that's another 3 points. He's like 4 off. So tough weekend for Sergio Perez. Tough weekend for Carlos Sainz as well. Especially since that can't even be deemed any fault of his own.
No.
Whereas potentially Perez, you can go, shouldn't be fighting that hard on lap 1. George Russell just 5 points off Sainz now, which is absolutely insane. The Mercedes really there now, 128 points for him, and he's quite ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So 17 points ahead to be exact, especially since Lewis gained points on him this weekend. Another 2 ahead for Lewis's tally. He's P6, quite the way ahead of Lando Norris, who I can't quite believe is still 7th.
Well, who's behind him? Who hasn't been scoring?
Esteban Ocon 52.
I think I forget how.
To Lando 64.
Lando's a podium.
Yeah, without that lucky podium, nothing.
Where was that?
Imola, where Charles Leclerc spun.
Yeah.
So
Sainz was spinning as well.
Yeah, we've not had a weekend where we've had since then where Merckx have been out of the point, out of it. Russell was 4th. Merck are now 5, 6. So it's really hard if any problems arise for any other team to take a podium. And then we've not really had a weekend where Sainz has crashed out. Leclerc spins and both the Mercs are down the order for Lando to take a podium or anyone else to take a podium. Ocon, he's 12 points off Lando in P8. Very strong weekend, and going into his home race in 2 weeks' time, and Alpine's home race. If there was a shock win, who knows? Potentially a podium as well.
I guess. Hungary again.
Exactly. We have got Hungary coming up. He loves a bit of Hungary. 6 points between Ocon and Bottas. Bottas is 9th. I believe Ocon would have passed. Ocon would have passed him this weekend. Bottas would have been ahead.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo seems to drop off a little bit now. They no longer look like to be in that midfield hunt. But he has got quite the margin to Fernando Alonso on 29, Magnussen on 22, and Ricciardo on 17. The problem for Haas is they're only now getting into that midfield fight. They are down in 7th in the Constructors. We'll get into the Constructors shortly. I think they'll get up and past Alfa Romeo eventually if Alfa Romeo don't sort out their base problems, especially with Haas bringing upgrades this weekend. Could Haas challenge Mercedes realistically? Because they're just behind at the moment with upgrades coming in for France. Who knows? Who knows indeed. So Fernando Alonso 29 points, he is 10th. Kevin Magnussen 22 points, he's 11th. And Ricciardo 17 points, he's P12. Gasly down to 13th now, he has 16 points. Vettel 14th, 15 points for him. Very tough weekend for Seb. Mick now 15th, he's got 12 points to his name after not scoring. This time 2 weeks ago, he's never scored a Formula 1 point. This time 9 days ago, he never scored a Formula 1 point. Now he has 12 of them. 16th, Yuki Tsunoda, 11 points. Been a tough season for both AlphaTauris, but Yuki, very unfortunate there. Zhou Guanyu, debut season, I think he'll take his 5 points. 17th in the championship. 18th is Alexander Albon, 3 points for him on his return to Formula 1 this season after a year out. It's been much better than Latifi's season, who has 0 points. Stroll, obviously 19th with 3 points as well. Latifi, the only driver not to score, and Nico Hülkenberg still sits bottom, unsurprisingly. But Latifi only got ahead of him in the British Grand Prix. So out next we have France and we have the French.
We've got a week off.
Yeah, we've got a week off, then the French-Hungary doubleheader. 3 weeks off before we have the Belgium, Netherlands, Italy back to back to back.
That's fun.
2 weeks off before we have the Singapore and Japan doubleheader, and then just US, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi left in the season. So we're very much reaching the end. We are exactly halfway
point
through the campaign now.
All to play for.
It is also to play for. I mean, I was going to say early championship predictions, but I don't think you can give any. Max Verstappen's on 208 points. Realistically, Merck could find something mental, and George is only 80 points behind. So with this, obviously, but with the same amount of races still to go,
Daniel Ricciardo could still win.
It's not impossible. You think if Max has got 208 points in 11 races and he's had 2 engine failures in that time, surely it's very possible that if someone else was to find some pace,
McLaren would need to find
208 points, and everyone else would have 4 seasons.
I was just happy to see
some good points.
McLaren's back in points.
Yes, I think potentially Ricciardo now could push on from there. I guess we've not really got 2 points. It's hardly redemption day.
Well, it is now.
The last redemption day was always 1. This one, he's finished in the points. Also, Schumacher driver of the day. Fair enough. He very, very strong pace all weekend.
Glad that Mick
so well this weekend. That's all though. this week for this weekend's review. We've got 2 weeks off now. We'll probably put something out on the F1 channel maybe next weekend.
We've got a week.
We've got a week
Weekend
with
off.
nothing. Yes, we might put something else out on the channel over that weekend. If not, back in like 12 days.
Yeah.
With the preview, so look out for them. That is all for today, though. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here. Hit that notification bell so you always know when we upload. Give on the comments what your thoughts on the race, who do you think is going to win the championship, all that fun stuff. That is all. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.